Hi guys, welcome to Math for Day 9 in Packet 5. If you're working on Google Classroom, that'd be Day 4 of Packet 5 Week 2 Math. Today we're going to solve the math problem on the following slide, and you're going to need to explain your thinking with pictures, numbers, and words. So, this problem is called sandwiches. Michelle went to the grocery store and purchased lunch meat to make sandwiches. She purchased 1/4 a pound of turkey, 1/2 a pound of ham, 3/8 of a pound of roast beef, and 1/8 of a pound of salami. What we need to solve is, what is the difference between the amount of ham she bought and the turkey and roast beef combined? You're going to work with your family and friends to create at least 2 additional questions that can be answered using the chart. This is going to be counted towards your 5C skill collaboration badge. Then you're also going to answer the questions you created. So what we need to look at is we have a bunch of fractions here with different denominators, and it is asking us to combine the turkey and the roast beef. So I'm going to highlight these because these I am going to need to add. That's right, if I'm combining the turkey and the roast beef, I'm adding them. So I'm going to add these together, and then I have to subtract my sum from 1/2 a pound of ham. In order to do this, of course, I'm going to end up needing to find a common denominator for the 3 fractions I'll be working with. So when we come over here, and this is going to be, I think, the easiest thing is if we figure out we have, of course, 1/4. Oh, sorry, that's not writing very well, so let's try that again. 1/4 is a fraction we're working with. We're working with the fraction 1/2. We're going to be working with a fraction for computation of 3/8. Now you may ask why we're going to find a common denominator now when you know you have to do 2 different set of problems. Well, if we find the common denominator now, doing 2 separate types of problems with these 3 fractions isn't going to be very difficult for us. So what we have is we have to find the least common denominator of 2, 4, and 8. Because remember, we can't add or subtract fractions without that common denominator. So to do that, we're going to find the LCM. So let's find the least common multiple of 4, 2, and 8. So I'm going to do 4 here, 2. Now you might like to do them in numerical order. I'm just doing them in the order in which they appear in my list here. Alright, so 4 common, let's start listing multiples. We have 4, we have 8. I'm going to stop there because I see something. I have an 8 here and 8 here. So I can come back to it if I need to, but if I have an 8 here, and then I know I'm listing multiples of 8, I think I'm going to stop for a minute because I don't want to have to list a whole bunch of multiples. That makes a mess. So here for 2, let's start to skip counting our 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, again, I see an 8 here, there's an 8 here, there's an 8 here. So if 8 is a multiple of 8, then I know I'm going to find my least common multiple. And of course, if we skip count by 8, we start with 8. 8 is a multiple of 8. So I have found my least common multiple. When I find my least common multiple, of course, that least common multiple is my least common denominator. So since 8 is our least common multiple, 3/8 can stay the same. It just turns into 3/8. Right? Because 3/8 is already our denominator. I don't have to do anything with that. Alright, but for 1/2, I am going to need to do something, aren't I? So in order to find out what fraction 1/2 is going to turn into that has a denominator of 8, I'm going to need to do some skip counting. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do that. So I always going to start by skip counting our denominator, guys, because we know that we're supposed to get to a certain denominator. So I have 2, so it goes 2 and 4, 6, and 8. All right, now I have 8 there, and I'm going to go ahead and make my equal signs and make my fraction lines. And then I can go on top and start skip counting my numerator until I get to the 8. So I skip count by ones because I skip count by my numerator, and my numerator is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, do I have to do this if I knew my equivalent fractions for half? No, I wouldn't have to. And we should know that 4/8 equals 1/2. That's one of those fractions we should know off the top of our head. But sometimes when we've been out of school for a long time, it's hard to remember. So that's why we went ahead and did it by hand. So now we need to find out what 1/4 is with a denominator of 8. All right, so we're going to come over here, and I'm going to use yellow for this one. And again, we're going to start by skip counting our denominator. So I know that we go 4 and then 8. I've got my denominator. I don't need to skip count any more than that. That's all I need to do. And I'm skip counting by my numerator, which is 1. So that goes 1, 2. That equals 2/8. So that's my equivalent of 4. Now, if you use these fractions, you will find that adding them and subtracting them together is much easier, right? So let's go and make a note of that on our other slides. Please give me. Oh, sorry, my dog is barking. I think there's somebody at the door. But let me give you just a second. All right, thank you for being patient with me while my dog was barking. I really appreciate it, guys. Oh, hold on. Thank you so much. I don't know how long of a pause there is when I have to pause the recording, so I appreciate you guys waiting while I get my dog and kids sorted out. All right, so now we are going to plug in those equivalent fractions we just worked out on the whiteboard. So we came up with our equivalent of 1/4 is 2/8 of a pound, so I'm going to add that here. Oh, I don't know why I did that. And I'm going to highlight that a different color so that we know that it's an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to highlight that green. So over here for our 1/2 pound, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that because we are working with the ham. I'll highlight that one yellow. And then our equivalent fraction that we came up for 1/2 pound, remember we should know our equivalents of half. And yes, it is 4/8 of a pound. And so I'm going to go back and highlight that in green. And of course, we don't have to do anything with our 3/8 of a pound, so that's already its own equivalent fraction. I'm going to highlight that in blue. Okay, so now we can do our adding, our subtracting for the first problem. Remember the difference between the amount of ham she bought and the turkey and roast beef combined. So when we look at it, turkey and roast beef combined, we'll be adding those. So we'll take turkey plus roast beef, and then we're going to subtract the ham from it. So if I come over here, it's what we need to remember is we're going to take our turkey plus roast beef whatever that number ends up being. We're either going to subtract it from the ham or the ham's going to subtract it. It depends on which one's bigger, but we're just going to write this over here for now. All right, so that's how we're going to solve that problem. Then 2 more questions on your own. Make sure you write those 2 questions down on the next slide and answer the questions and show me the math you had to do. All right, so that's all for our day 9 math. I'll see you again for day 10. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out to your teachers, and I really do hope that you will join us for our live packet help from 11 to 12 every day. We miss you guys and would love to see you there. We work on the day's packet work together. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day.